You,
Let's tell me again, specifically your service as a Green Beret and how you worked with the Israelis.
sure. So um, the Green Beret qualification is a 4 month long course, and the United States, invites allied officers to attend. So in my Green Beret course, I had officers from Lebanon, Israel, Egypt, Sudan, all from their parachute units, as well as officers from Asia, including Indonesia, Korea, Thailand, and Malaysia. And during that course, there were two Israeli officers, and I got to know them both very well. And you have a lot of blood and sweat you go through in those 4 months. You get to know each other well. Um, One of the real discriminating tests is the land nav test, compass course. Over a long distance, you've got a short period of time. There's a day and night version. The night version, um, Benny Gantz, one of the Israelis, and I were among the first three to finish, and we sat around a campfire with C-ration coffee and hot cocoa and cream and sugar mix, a mocha that soldiers famously make. And we talked about how to solve all the problems of the Middle East, and we developed a close bond. Then after I got to my Green Beret unit, the next year, we got the mission to send two Special Forces teams, so a total of 26 soldiers into Beirut, Lebanon. And the Israeli Parachute Brigade was located along the Litani River just south of Beirut. I helped coordinate to make sure I went into Israel. I was the only Green Beret in my unit who went into Israel to coordinate that the Israelis knew where our soldiers were located. And as it turned out, when I told Benny I was coming in, he said, "Well, you'll stay with me." So I went in 83, I went in 84. Both times I stayed in Benny's apartment, and also visited with the other Israeli soldier who is a member of their Sayeret Metkal, kind of their equivalent to our Delta or SEAL Team 6 unit.
So, having all that experience, what do you think is the Israeli mindset in this mission? What is their objective?
So their mindset, and I think it's a mindset instilled in every Israeli soldier, whether a pilot, whether an infantry soldier, whether an elite member of an elite Israeli unit, and that is they can win every battle of the next war except the last one. And if they lose the last one, the country is lost. And I think every Israeli in their service um, develops and accepts that mindset, and they fight um, like that is, and it is a given.
So, what do you think is the strategic objective? What do you think is the goalpost here for Israel specifically?
I think the goalpost for Israel is to neutralize the threats um, from what remains of Hamas, um, a damaged Hezbollah that is still capable of fighting, as we are seeing, and to neutralize Iran to the greatest extent so that they can no longer bankroll or supply drones and missiles to allow Hezbollah, Hamas, or even the Houthis down in Yemen from engaging Israel.
Do you think Israel has any interest whatsoever in being involved in a new government in Iran?
That's an interesting question. I think their interest is purely from the fact of making sure it's a government that's not hostile um, to Israel and its way of life. Um, the last 40 some odd years have seen, outright calls for the elimination of Israel, the elimination of the United States. And while these are simply rhetoric, nonetheless, they sponsor the terrorism to try to make some kind of inroad. And for Israel, the ultimate goal is to ensure that Iran is no longer a threat to the stability of the Israeli people.
What is your sense of how the Israeli people are feeling right now, since they are obviously under direct fire from Iran's retaliatory
I think
attacks.
this is something that they grow up understanding, and particularly the Israelis who live south of Tel Aviv. They've been under missile threats for years from Hamas out of Gaza. For other parts of Israel, well, the northern part of Israel, of course, has been under threats from rockets from Hezbollah. But the Tel Aviv area, Jerusalem area, their first threats occurred when Iran launched their attacks last year. But every house in Israel has an insulated safe room to protect the families. And they're not designed for comfort so much as they are designed to protect the families. And many Israelis have been spending many nights in those safe rooms. And it's something that is in their mindset. They accept that, unfortunately, in this day and age, they have to have those kinds of rooms to protect them.
And before we talk about what's been said by the Trump administration, how do the U.S. and Israel work together for missions like this?
Well, I mean, going back, decades. The reason the Israelis were in my special forces class is because we have a close relationship. And as I described, the other countries that participated, we through a lot of different schools, pilot training, otherwise, we like to develop rapport with our allies. And so both at the tactical level of small units and individual soldiers, right up through the strategic level of our national governments, there is and has been a close working relationship. They are absolutely a very strong ally of the United States.
So Secretary of State Marco Rubio made the statement yesterday that the U.S. was sort of put in the position that it had to strike Iran because of an imminent strike by Israel. He almost made it seem like we had no choice in the matter. What is your knowing what you know about Israel, do you think that holds water?
I question it. I'd like to see a lot more data because I'd be surprised that Israel, knowing that it relies on the combat power generated by the Air Force and Navy, the United States Air Force and Navy, to complement the Israelis. I don't think the Israelis would put the U.S. in that kind of a position. So I'd certainly have to see a lot more evidence to understand that.
And then, Jim, the $1 million question. How do you think this ends?
Well, based on how it's unfolding right now, I think in the short term, there's very likely going to be a tactical win for Israel and for the United States in terms of neutralizing the threat from Iran and its proxies. In the long term, military power by itself is not going to be sufficient. And so there does need to be a concerted effort through economic incentives, political incentives, to bring in place an Iranian government that looks to be a productive partner in the Middle East and not a threat. And so that's the tougher part. It's for, I think as my buddy Benny Gantz has said over the last couple of days, this isn't about us. It's about our children and our grandchildren. And that's what we're fighting for. And that calls for a, economic, political solution more than just merely a military victory.